Didn't see you standing there. This is an HP laptop. One of my favorites, in fact. I think anybody that watches this channel will tell you how much I fucking love Hewlett Packard. So fucking much. But no, seriously, I hate HP. Except this one. This one's not.
Using a screen reader.
Never mind. I changed my mind.
Windows plus control plus.
Isn't that the most obnoxious thing in the world? Every time Windows 10 or 11 starts up and it has to talk to you. Anyway, this one isn't too bad. This one is a little 14-inch cheapie, but it's got a 14-inch full high definition screen, which I gotta tell you, it does look pretty damn good. It does have the silver keycaps on it, which I hate, because it's hard to see. But otherwise, it's sort of a no-frills, kind of very basic, plain laptop, but you know what? It gets the job done. So we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into this HP, and we're gonna find out if you should buy one yourself. I'm breezing through the Windows 11 setup right now. By the way, whenever you get to the spot that says, let's connect to a network, all you gotta do is hit Alt and F4, and it will just get rid of that damn thing. How dare Microsoft require you to have internet in order to set up your brand new laptop? What if the power is out and it's Christmas Day and you get a new goddamn laptop and you can't even use it? How bad would that suck? But nevertheless, that's their rule, and hit Alt F4, or you can also do this trick with Control, with basically pulling up Task Manager with Shift F10 and shutting off the network stuff. Anyway, while I'm going through the Windows 10 setup, I figured I would tell you all some of the specs on this thing. It has a 256 gigabyte NVMe solid state drive. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM. And it has a 14.1 inch full high definition non-touch screen matte, which I really, really like. And it gets actually pretty bright, brighter than some of the Lenovo screens. It has the Ryzen 5 processor in it, which is a good little amount of oomph for when you're doing multitasking stuff like productivity and even a little bit of gaming, this kind of thing. In the past, I wouldn't hesitate at all to crap all over Hewlett Packard and their cheap, uninnovative, and frankly, corner-cutting garbage computers that they sell. But I'm finding it kind of hard to complain about this one. The input and output on this thing is pretty decent. It doesn't have any, like, you know, special features in it like Windows Hello fingerprint scanners or Hello compatible cameras, but that's really not anything that you need. I mean, the fact is that this computer is about $475, and if you just need something to kind of throw in and out of a backpack, either for school or for work, or use this thing as like a non-profit machine, basically something that you would give like employees or people doing volunteer work, I can almost think of very, very few better options than this little HP. It's rare that you can find a sub $500 computer with the amount of power and specs that this one offers. The FHD screen, and for that matter, the 256 gig solid state drive, it seems like they're getting a little more generous with what they're offering. Now, I still very, very much question Hewlett Packard's quality and reliability, so I don't want to go out and say that everybody should go out and buy this machine because it's awesome. But that said, everything on it is very user serviceable. I mean, the screen, for example, the bezel pops off and you can replace the display in there if that cracks or breaks if you had to. Everything in it is kind of bare bones, so and parts bin, so NVMe, RAM, all that stuff can just pop right out, can be replaced. Motherboard, you could potentially... One of the issues with Hewlett Packard products is that finding their parts post-warranty is very, very difficult because they make so many variants of even similar model numbers that it's very hard to find the parts for them. But if you can find the motherboard or something for this, if it goes bad, I'm sure it wouldn't be too outrageously expensive. But you know, the fact is that the computer is so cheap anyway, that if it breaks, you just chuck it and get a new one. That's the world we live in these days. It's just sort of a disposable world. But I am looking at this display, and I gotta tell you, it's incredibly colorful and bright, and the glare on it, like I know you can see the studio light on it, but I mean the color and clarity and everything on it, the viewing angle, it's IPS display, it's fantastic. I mean, it really is. I mean, I think if I really had, okay, here's another, let me find some nitpicky stuff to hate on. It's got a lot of junkware in it. It's typical of Hewlett Packard. They throw a ton of crap on these things. If I open up control panel, for example, Go to the old uninstall programs list. We've got the classics, McAfee and Microsoft Office Wild Tangent Games, which is basically adware right off the bat. ExpressVPN, they're trying to sell you on that noise. And some other like Hewlett-Packard related stuff, smart printing and a bunch of other crap that you will absolutely never need. But you know, you get the computer, you uninstall all that stuff and no big deal. It does come with Windows 11. I'd argue that Windows 11 is more bloated than half the software that Hewlett-Packard is loading on this thing. But anyway, you just get rid of that stuff, and then what you're left with is a computer that benchmarks well, performs well. Here, this is what a benchmark of this computer looks like now. This is a benchmark of the HP 14-FQ. So as you can see, the thing is pretty fast and would probably get even some audio processing done if you needed to use this as like a mobile computer for like podcasting or even like maybe recording like a band or something like that. It would probably not do too bad. Now, by the way, despite what user benchmark says, even though it rated it as like an aircraft carrier or whatever for a productivity use, which I really do agree with, it's going to be outstanding for just general day-to-day tasks, email, internet, that sort of thing, Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, you get the idea. Gaming. I actually think you could probably knock out some decent gaming with this thing. Minecraft, Roblox, all of these like new kind of like low intensity games that everybody's playing these days. I really doubt this thing will have even a slight issue with playing that stuff. It's definitely going to knock out, maybe not like RDR2 or like Grand Theft Auto 5 on high settings or anything like that, but I think that if you're a casual gamer, you can have a nice experience with it on, you know, with Steam, this kind of thing. After all, it does have a very nice display, so kind of looking at that stuff. And it's not, by the way, it's not some like super fast, like 120 hertz like gaming display or anything like that, but it's just good and crisp and just kind of looks nice. On the subject of battery life, Hewlett-Packard advertises that this computer will get about 9.5 hours. We found that that's not entirely true, like most manufacturers, they kind of lie about that, but with general medium usage on this machine, having like internet tabs open, couple Outlook, couple of Word documents, that sort of thing, we were able to get somewhere between 8 to 8.5 hours of battery life, which is respectable. And HP advertises a nifty feature called their HP Fast Charge, which really does work. So what they claim is from 0 to 50%, it can be done in a half hour. But we found that just in general, this thing charges quite fast. 0 to 100% took almost no time at all. Basically, if you're like in an airport and you're, you know, switching between, you're in like during a layover, switching between flights, and you just need to give this thing a quick hit of energy, you could absolutely do that and certainly buy yourself another few hours worth of use. Some other nice touches that Hewlett-Packard gave us is Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth. So you've got the latest wireless technologies in here. So if you've got a Wi-Fi 6 router at home, this thing will be screaming fast on your network, and that's kind of nice because it does not have Ethernet on it. But of course, if you had to have Ethernet, you could always use a little USB-C dongle instead. For example, let's go ahead and pop out the cord here. On this, let's talk about the input and output, my favorite. On this side, you've got a full-size SD card reader, which people are really, really going to like. You've got a couple of like indicator lights, which I kind of think in this day and age is a little silly. I'll pass on the power button light, but the like blinking hard drive, the activity light, if you will, solid state drives, you don't need them anymore. Just save the 10. You know, Hewlett-Packard cuts corners on everything else. You'd think that they would try to figure out a way not to use LEDs. On this side, you've got a headphone jack. USB-C, thank God. For a cheap computer, they put that in there. I'm honest to God surprised. You've got 2 USB super speed ports on here. A lot of companies are going for like one like non-super speed port or whatever and just being cheap, and they didn't. They gave you 2 super speed ports. That means you've got 3 very, very capable IOs on this, USB IOs on this computer, which is freaking awesome. HDMI, good touch. Then of course, where you plug it in, because it doesn't run on solar energy. That wasn't dramatic enough. There we go. But it does have a webcam built in. Here's what some of that footage looks like now. This is the footage that you can expect from the Hewlett-Packard 14-FQ1025 notebook. And as you can see, it's actually not too bad, and in fact better than some of the Lenovo laptops that we've been reviewing recently. As far as speakers are concerned, I'm going to go ahead and play a little clip of what they sound like. They're not the worst on a laptop I have used. They have a little bit of trouble. I'm going to try to get the microphone kind of close to the speakers here. They do have a little bit of trouble switching between like highs and mids over to lows, but there's not. So there's like a little bit of distortion sort of in those transitions where it's, you know, trying to sort of separate instruments, but all in, they get pretty loud, surprisingly loud, in fact, and they're fairly clear. So for like vocals, podcasts, this kind of thing, they'll be more than fine. You could do some casual listening of music, but if you are an audiophile, of course, you will want a set of headphones for that headphone jack. But this is what you can expect from the audio here. My favorite, Crystal Method, Chapter 1. Does this even make sense doing this? You can even appreciate the speakers. Right there, see, it couldn't, like, where the bass comes in, it couldn't really hit those notes.
If I never make it back to you, maybe you can come looking for me.
A couple of other little things about, again, little nitpicky items. The keyboard is not the best to type on. It is kind of mushy and doesn't really feel that responsive or tactile. If you like are a typist perfectionist, I think you might be a little taken aback by it. Again, the silver keycaps too. A lot of our clients and customers feel that is very hard to read and they don't care for the silver keycaps. It also doesn't have a full-size keyboard or a backlight on it. None of those things are necessarily deal breakers, especially with the 14-inch form factor, but nevertheless, it's worth noting that you're like in a dark airplane or something like that, you will have to hunt for your keys by memory. But I digress. Has a little trackpad on it. It's a good shape. It's big. It's nice. But it feels a little kind of sticky at times, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't really ghost. It doesn't really feel like the cursor's on ice, but it just kind of never really goes where you want it to. But it does distinguish the left and right and multi-touch gestures very, very well. Better than some of the laptops that we have tested recently. So, you know, again, as far as just interacting with this machine, it does a good and fair job at being able to do your things. You know, I suspect that if you're like a traveling journalist or somebody that just maybe needs like a disposable, beat-upable 14-inch machine, this would be a very good computer for you. But all in, it is just a good computer. I mean, again, you can't really beat the price on it, especially the specs. I do feel that with that USB-C, it'll be an awesome thing for things like vloggers, audio editors, people that have like Switch, podcasters, recording bands, this kind of thing. Just allows for endless options of expandability on this machine. And by all accounts, it's also not a very, very bad looking computer either. I mean, again, it's kind of on the basic side, but it's, you know, it's silver and it sort of just looks decent. Yeah, it does. It's just a laptop. Oh, and for those wondering, it's about as wide, you know, as far back as it goes. So, you know, enough for like if it's on your desk and you need to read something on it. Anyway, that is the HP 14-FQ1025. I really wish HP did something better with their whole naming scheme there. I mean, that's what these are. They're parts bins machines. They just fish crap out of the trash bins and figure, oh, let's just throw a computer together out of it. It just so happened that they picked some pretty damn decent parts for this one. I'd have no problem recommending this computer to anybody. I'd say just go out and buy one. Get it. It's not bad. And that's me saying this. I hate HP. But get it. It's a good machine. Good price. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us in the comments section. Please like and subscribe. And we will be back with another video really soon.